Financial mistakes to avoid during a recession. Here are 5 financial traps to avoid during a recession. Panic selling. During a recession, the stock market can experience significant drops in value. It can be tempting to sell your investments to avoid further losses, but panic selling can often result in significant losses. Instead, it's important to have a long-term investment strategy that takes into account market fluctuations and to stick with that strategy. Panic selling refers to the act of selling an investment or asset in response to sudden fear or panic about market conditions or the economy. Panic selling can be triggered by news of a recession, market volatility, or a sudden drop in the value of a particular asset or investment. While panic selling may provide short-term relief from fear or anxiety, it can often lead to significant losses in the long term, especially if the investment has strong fundamentals and would have recovered in value. It's important to avoid making impulsive decisions during a recession and instead focus on a long-term investment strategy that can help you weather market fluctuations. To avoid panic selling during a recession, here are some strategies you can consider. Develop a long-term investment strategy. Develop a long-term investment strategy that takes into account your financial goals, risk tolerance, and time horizon. This will help you stay focused on your investment goals and avoid making impulsive decisions based on short-term market fluctuations. Diversify your portfolio. Diversify your investment portfolio across different asset classes, such as stocks, bonds, and real estate. This will help to reduce your overall risk and minimize the impact of any one asset on your portfolio. Stay informed but avoid reacting to every news story. Stay informed about market conditions and economic news, but avoid reacting to every news story. Focus on the long-term trends and underlying fundamentals of the companies and assets you've invested in. Have a plan for downturns. Have a plan for how you'll respond to market downturns or fluctuations in your portfolio. This can help you avoid making impulsive decisions based on fear or panic. Work with a financial advisor. Work with a financial advisor who can help you develop a long-term investment plan, provide guidance during market downturns, and help you stay focused on your financial goals. The financial advisor can also provide an objective perspective during turbulent times and help you avoid making emotional decisions. Taking on too much debt. During a recession, it may be more difficult to obtain credit or loans, and interest rates may be higher. It's important to avoid taking on too much debt during this time and to focus on paying off any existing debts. Taking on too much debt during a recession can be a significant financial trap to avoid. During an economic downturn, credit can become more difficult to obtain, and interest rates may be higher. If you take on too much debt, you may find it challenging to make your payments, which could lead to late fees, penalties, and damage to your credit score. It's important to avoid taking on new debts and to focus on paying off any existing debts during a recession. If you must take on debt, consider whether it's necessary and whether you can afford the payments. Remember that debt can be a useful financial tool if managed responsibly, but it can quickly become a burden if not used wisely. Not having an emergency fund. A recession can result in unexpected job loss or financial emergencies. It's crucial to have an emergency fund that can cover 3 to 6 months of expenses to help you weather any financial storms. Not having an emergency fund during a recession can be a significant financial trap to avoid. A recession can result in unexpected job loss, medical expenses, or other financial emergencies, and having an emergency fund can help you weather these storms. An emergency fund should ideally cover 3 to 6 months of your living expenses, including housing, food, utilities, and other essential bills. If you don't have an emergency fund, start by setting aside a small amount each month and gradually increase it over time. Even a small emergency fund can provide a cushion in case of unexpected expenses, and it can help you avoid taking on high-interest debt or other financial burdens during a recession. Advantages of having an emergency fund. Peace of mind. Having an emergency fund can provide peace of mind knowing that you have a financial safety net in case of unexpected expenses or emergencies. Avoid taking on high-interest debt. In case of an emergency, if you don't have an emergency fund, you may have to rely on credit cards or loans to cover the expenses, which can result in high-interest debt. With an emergency fund, you can avoid taking on debt and the associated interest payments. Avoid tapping into long-term investments. If you don't have an emergency fund, you may have to tap into your long-term investments, such as retirement savings, to cover the expenses. This can result in penalties and fees and impact your long-term financial goals. Disadvantages of not having an emergency fund. Vulnerability to financial emergencies. Without an emergency fund, you may be vulnerable to financial emergencies, such as job loss, medical expenses, or unexpected repairs, which can lead to financial stress and hardship. Forced to rely on credit cards or loans. In the absence of an emergency fund, you may have to rely on credit cards or loans to cover the expenses, which can lead to high-interest debt and financial strain. Risk of depleting savings. Without an emergency fund, you may have to deplete your savings or investments to cover the expenses, which can impact your long-term financial goals. In conclusion, having an emergency fund can provide financial security and peace of mind, while not having one can leave you vulnerable to financial emergencies and force you to rely on high-interest debt or deplete your savings. It's important to prioritize building an emergency fund as part of your overall financial plan. Overspending on non-essentials. During a recession, it's important to focus on necessities and avoid overspending on non-essentials. Evaluate your budget and prioritize essential expenses such as housing, food, and utilities. During a recession, overspending on non-essentials can be a significant financial trap to avoid. It's essential to focus on necessities and prioritize your spending accordingly. Evaluate your budget and consider what expenses are essential, such as housing, food, utilities, and healthcare. Non-essential expenses such as entertainment, dining out, and travel should be scaled back or eliminated as much as possible. It's crucial to resist the temptation to spend beyond your means and to prioritize saving money and paying off any existing debts. By being mindful of your spending habits and focusing on essentials, you can better navigate the challenges of a recession and maintain financial stability. Ignoring opportunities to save. During a recession, prices for goods and services may be lower than usual, and it may be an opportunity to save money. For example, you may be able to find discounts on household items or negotiate lower rates for services such as insurance or internet. It's important to keep an eye out for these opportunities to save money. During a recession, ignoring opportunities to save can be a significant financial trap to avoid. While it may be tempting to cut back on all spending, there may be opportunities to save money on essential expenses. For example, you may be able to negotiate lower rates on your insurance policies or internet services. You may also be able to find discounts on household items or groceries. It's essential to keep an eye out for these opportunities to save money and take advantage of them whenever possible. However, it's also important to be cautious and avoid making impulse purchases or falling for marketing ploys that may not actually save you money in the long run. By being mindful of opportunities to save and making wise financial decisions, you can better navigate the challenges of a recession and maintain financial stability. To learn more about life, business, and technology, subscribe to this channel. See you on our next video.